literally passed with above target in every domain. Like, what?
Put some respect on your girl's name, okay? Do not play with her.
Literally my biggest and most helpful tip that I want to share with you guys. Tip to passing your PMP exam on the first try is to get Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl, Goddess. Welcome or welcome back to my corner where I inspire others to dream more, live more, and become more. We have some exciting news. Drum roll, please. Your girl is officially PMP certified. Hey, PMP certified. What? She got her PMP. She got her PMP. She got her PMP. Hey, PMP. The craziest thing of it all, the craziest part of the whole thing, the whole video that you guys are gonna hear is that I took the exam 9 months pregnant. And I took the exam 9 months pregnant. So if you're here to learn exactly how you can pass your PMP on the first try, then make sure that you stay tuned to this video. Do not forget to subscribe. The PM content is about to be going crazy. So basically in this video, I was kind of trying to figure out the flow of this video without making it too long, but I can imagine that you guys are probably gonna have a lot of questions once I actually make this video go live. So be anticipating a Q&A, and actually any questions that I don't answer today, make sure you go ahead and drop your questions down below in the comment section, and I'm going to do my best to make a separate video answering some of the most commonly asked questions or just questions that my subscribers are asking me about the PMP exam. The first thing I'll say is you can 100% pass this exam, okay? I know there are a lot of videos out there. There's so much information about passing your, PMP exam, what's gonna be on the exam. For those of you who might not even know, let's just start off with exactly what the PMP certification is. So first of all, PMP stands for Project Management Professional. When you get your PMP, it just kind of shows that you are certified and that you are eligible to sit and practice as a legit project manager on a project. And so the different types of projects are traditional / waterfall, hybrid, or the most common, or I would say the most recent, like the hottest, is the Agile project manager, which there's also a certification for that one called the ACP. That's another video for another day. We're here to pretty much tackle the PMP certificate. So the first thing I did to sit and prepare for this exam was that I took a 35-hour course. So in order for you to even sit for the PMP exam, first of all, you have to have 36 hours of project experience. So if you have worked as a project manager, or even if you have never had the title of project manager, I really want to emphasize that, because a lot of people assume that oh, I've never been a project manager before, can I qualify to sit for the project management exam? In your past projects, you just have to show proof that basically that you have done project management related work. You can't just sit and just decide that you just want to take the exam. There are certain requirements. So you have to have, number one, 36 months of project management experience. Number two, you have to have at least 35 training hours of PMP prep. I actually went through Knowledge Hut to get my 35 hours. So I would like to say shout out to them because they actually sponsored my PMP prep course. You can also go through Udemy. A lot of times things like Udemy are gonna be a lot cheaper, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And I would say too, don't spend a ton of money on getting your prep course, honestly, unless you feel like you're starting from scratch. I have noticed that live courses tend to be more expensive than the self-paced courses, but if you feel like you're good at sort of, self-paced, you can log in. If you're diligent about studying and things like that, you won't really need to pay thousands of dollars for your prep course. Just go through Udemy, or Google has a project management course as well that you can, you can use that to qualify for your 35 hours. But however you decide to do it, it has to equal that 35 hours. So that's the number one thing. Before you can do anything else, you have to get your 35-hour prep course, and you have to have 36 hours of project management experience. Now, if you're not new to my channel, then you know that I actually come from a social work background. So I know you may be asking well, I'm a nurse, or I worked as a software engineer or something like that. How can I translate my knowledge? Trust me, there are ways that you can do it. When you are completing your PMP application, it's all about making sure that your verbiage matches that of a project manager. Of course, if you don't know what a project is, it's anything that has a start and an end date. And it does not have to be technical experience, y'all. I came from a social work background. I used case management. I also used volunteer experience that I actually got from some of my past organizations that I volunteered with for an extended period of time. So don't think that you have to have technical experience to sit for your PMP. I feel like that's a myth that a lot of people assume is true, but it is 100% not true. You do not have to have technical experience to sit for your exam. So I know that tip was a little bit lengthy, but again, just a quick recap. The first step into passing your PMP exam is before you can even apply for the exam, you have to have 35 training hours and you have to have 36 months of project management experience. So my next tip is to get involved in study groups, okay? In total, I would say that I studied by myself. I probably studied for about a month and a half, and then I also studied an additional month with a study group. So in total, you can say that I studied roughly about 8 to 10 weeks. My final 4 weeks of studying had everything to do with the fact that I had a study group, because 3 or 4 days out of the week, I was getting together virtually in a project management Facebook group. We would get together and pretty much we would just go through practice questions. We would talk about any areas that we were struggling with. We talked about the processes. We shared resources together. So those things were really helpful because it made me stay disciplined. Even on the days where I didn't want to study by myself, if I didn't feel motivated to study by myself, I knew that I had a study group that I could go to. Studying in the mornings tended to work best for me, but with me being pregnant, honestly, it was kind of hard to find that motivation sometimes. When I didn't get the chance to study in the mornings, I knew that, okay, you know, every evening at 6 p.m., from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., I was getting together with these ladies and we were studying virtually. So trust me, study groups work, okay? So if you're the kind of person where you struggle to study by yourself, you struggle to stay motivated when it comes to studying, or if it's been like 6 months and you ain't take the exam yet, you might need to switch up your studying strategy, or you might be overthinking a little bit about sitting for the exam. Find a group of some other people who are also trying to study for the exam. Get together, share your Zoom link, share your, you know, Google Calendar link or something like that. Get together, even if it's for like an hour to an hour and a half every single night. It's gonna make a huge difference. And so in addition to that, I was also studying on my own, but specifically I felt like the study group helped me the most. It kept me accountable, if that makes sense, and it kept the information fresh. So 100%, if you have not already tried it, make sure you get into a study group, whether in person or virtual. All right, my next tip to passing the PMP exam on the first try is to make sure that you have at least one textbook that you reference. So let me explain exactly what I mean by that. So after I took my 35-hour training course, our instructor recommended about 3 different books. She recommended the PMBOK. She also recommended Rita Mulcahy's 10th edition PMP prep exam course. And then there's one other resource that she recommended. It wasn't a book, it was just like to study the Scrum Guide. The Scrum Guide is really short. It's only like 14 pages, so I didn't really consider that one a book. Obviously, if you're studying for an exam, you're gonna do some research. So I was doing some research on YouTube to figure out what are the best resources, which books should I order, yada yada. And honestly, I felt like I got really overwhelmed because I was trying to study way too much at the same time. So my advice is to have really, I would say no more than 2 sources, like physical, like books that you reference, and just stick to that. But personally, I'm not really a book person, so I had my book, but I used it more so as a reference when information started to feel kind of fuzzy. So when I was learning the processes, I would go to the book to learn more in depth about, okay, what is, you know, monitoring and control? What is the planning phase? What happens during these phases? Like, why are these phases important? So using a textbook is going to be super important because a physical book is going to really help break down that information, especially in a way that you can digest. Personally, I didn't like the PMBOK. Like, that's just the honest truth. The PMBOK is a really tough read, at least for me. I felt like it was kind of boring. The information was kind of confusing. And so one thing that my instructor from Knowledge Hut suggested, she said that a lot of people struggle to read the PMBOK. And so if you can't get through the PMBOK, read the Rita book. And so I went online, I think I went on Mercari, and I found a copy of Rita's 10th edition. I found it for like 30 bucks. We got the book for free through the Knowledge Hut course. However, I needed a physical copy. I didn't want like the e-version of the book because I just felt like I needed to highlight. I'm that kind of person, I like to underline and different things like that. So if you're watching this this and you have the PMBOK and you're struggling, my advice would be to maybe try to go for a book that seems like an easier read, which would be Andrew Ramdayal. I'll leave this information listed below. Andrew Ramdayal's book, or I personally enjoyed the Rita book, but whichever one you choose, I would say stick to one, because trying to read 2 and 3 huge textbooks at a time is gonna be a little bit confusing. I feel like the information is probably gonna be processed a little bit different in every resource, and you're just gonna confuse yourself and you're gonna get overwhelmed because it's just gonna feel like a lot of information. So find a resource, find a physical book, and stick to that. All right, my next tip to ensure that you pass your PMP exam, especially on the first try, is do not wait too long to take the exam, okay? I have heard some crazy timelines. Like, I have heard people waiting literally a year or more to take their exam. So once you actually apply, you get literally 365 days to choose a date and take your exam. So my advice, number one, is do not wait, because you don't want to lose out on your money. Right now, the PMP is $575.
Very expensive, okay? So
my suggestion would be to wait no longer than about 2 months. Now, of course, there are different factors that can kind of play into how long you wait to take the exam. One of the most common things that I've seen is that people have children, people work full-time jobs, and sometimes, you know, you kind of get fatigued and you find it hard to study. So my advice, you know, I guess this is like a 2-in-1 sort of tip. Don't wait too long to take the exam, and also be very diligent when it comes to studying. So if you have children, try to lean into your support system if you can. If you have a partner, see if they can sort of watch your child or your children for maybe 2 hours a day or something like that. Or if you have older kids, have them understand that, like, hey, mommy is really trying to study and sit for a very important exam. Basically, leave me alone. Leave me alone for like 2 hours a day from 6 to 8 p.m. I've also seen where, like, some people will wake up literally at like 5 a.m. before their children wake up, and they'll study from like 5 to 7 or something like that, and they do that every single day. So 2 hours a day, 7 days a week is about 14 hours of studying. I'm not really that good at math, but if you multiply that by like 30 days, that'll hopefully give you an idea of a good amount of time frame that you would actually need to sit and study for the exam. But regardless, you have to be diligent about studying. Like, you can't just keep saying, oh, I'm studying for the exam, but you only like dipping and dabbing in your study stuff here and there. You know, you're not really reading. Like, you're reading a little bit, but you're not really reading, and then you get wrapped up in your head and you start thinking all these negative things and you start freaking out about the exam. Or sometimes you go online, you read all these different articles and you start freaking out thinking that you're not ready, so then you push the date back. Just all these different things. Honestly, let this video be your sign that you're probably ready to take the exam, okay? If you've been studying diligently for a good 2 to 3 months, you're probably ready to sit for the exam. So don't overthink it. Do not wait too long to sit for the exam. Once you apply and you get approved and everything is all good, go ahead and set a deadline for yourself. Tell yourself, I'm gonna give myself, you know, 4 weeks. I'm gonna give myself 5 weeks of diligent studying, okay? Go in and make sure you stick to that. My advice would be to try to set a date, stick to it, and then if you absolutely have to change it, don't push it out too much longer, okay? Sit for the exam. You're probably more ready than you think you are. All right, and so my last and final tip, at least for this video, because I can already feel myself making more of these videos, but I don't want this to be too long. My last and final, and probably my biggest, literally my biggest and most helpful tip that I want to share with you guys. My very last tip to passing your PMP exam on the first try is to get the TIA mock simulator, and also get Andrew Ramdayal's Udemy course. I cannot stress this enough. The TIA mock simulator, or TIA, I'll just try to refer to it as TIA. So the TIA mock simulator is actually a simulator that was created by Andrew Ramdayal himself. If you guys have never heard of his name, this man is the GOAT, okay? He is the GOAT. People do not brag about him for no reason, guys. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Now, I didn't get to read Andrew's PMP prep book itself, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. And also, he mentioned that if you have his book, then there's no need to get his Udemy course, or vice versa. If you have his Udemy course, then there's no need for you to really get his book. So you just kind of pick one. So I use his Udemy course as extra prep, and then I also use the TIA mock simulator. So TIA stands for Technical Institute of America. So he's the owner and creator of that website. That's his own business. So the mock simulator is what you're going to use to essentially practice the knowledge that you've learned from his Udemy course. So now I know some of you guys might be watching this like, well, why did you take a Udemy course if you had already taken the Knowledge Hut 35-hour prep course? So the reason is because I felt like I just wanted something a little extra and a little more of an umph, because the Knowledge Hut course that I took, it was a live course. I think it was maybe about a week and a half, but then I still didn't feel 1000% ready. And so I actually had a close friend of mine who actually recommended, she basically recommended that I take Andrew's Udemy course because she was taking it and she enjoyed it. So I was like, you know what, why not? I think it was on sale on Udemy at the time for like 20 or 30 bucks. So I went ahead and purchased it, and I'm like, okay. Essentially, I used his Udemy course as more of like extra prep because I knew that I didn't need any more of the 35 training hours, but I used his course because so many people talked about how amazing his Udemy course was. So I was like, you know what, let me just buy it, 20 or 30 bucks. I can, you know, invest that into getting my PMP certification. And it was an amazing experience, honestly. Like the way that he literally teaches you the mindset, he teaches you how to eliminate questions or how to eliminate answers that just don't make any sense. You'll be able to look at the questions and be like, okay, this one doesn't make any sense. You know, you're never supposed to do this. You're never supposed to do that. And it's like, he teaches you the process of elimination. But in addition to that, you also understand why the other answers don't make any sense. So we talked about the Udemy course. So now with the TIA mock simulator by Andrew, that one was extremely helpful because practice questions, they were not too difficult to understand. What I really love about Andrew's TIA mock simulator is that number one, he helps you understand the PM mindset. He helps you understand why certain answers just don't make any sense. Within his simulator, there are 6 mock exams and there are 60 questions per mock exam. So even if you wanted to go through like a sort of like mock trial of what the actual PMP exam is gonna look like, the real PMP exam has 180 questions on it. So you could take 3 of Andrew's mock simulators back to back with 10-minute breaks, and that's essentially how the real test is gonna feel. So that's what I love about it, is that it really does give you that true test experience. And I can 100% say that that actually helped a whole lot when it came to my actual exam day, because I was used to sitting through 60 questions. So another thing that I really loved about Andrew's simulator is that he has video explanations. He does a really good job. He kind of offers like 1 to 2 minute breakdowns for every single question, whether you got it right or wrong. He has a video explanation as to why that answer is right or wrong. After I went through those simulators so many times, I was like, okay, it's kind of starting to click. And so what Andrew normally suggests is that if you're averaging about 80, if you're getting about an 80% on his mock simulators, you are 100% ready. If you currently have Andrew's simulator, download it, make sure that you continue to take the exams, see how you do on them, and try to average at least 80%. Get the simulator by Andrew. It's the TIA mock simulator. I'll have it linked down below for you guys. This is not sponsored. Me and Andrew ain't working together, although I would love to. But my advice would be to make sure that you get those main 2 things. That is like the gold of this whole video, guys. Like, download Andrew's Udemy prep course and download his TIA simulator. Now, what I will also say about the simulator is that don't just go download it right after watching this video if you know that you're not ready or close to being ready to sit for the exam. The reason that I say that is because the simulator does expire after 60 days, and I think it's like 45 bucks. So you don't want to continue to pay $45 every 60 days. So I would say about 2 months before it's time for you to take the exam, that's when you should go ahead and purchase the mock simulator. Take it, practice every single day. I was practicing maybe like 3 or 4 times a week, probably about 4 times a week. And I know I didn't mention this in the beginning of the video, but I literally passed with above target in every domain. Like, what?
Put some respect on your girl's name, okay? Do not play with her. So shout out to me. Shout out to me.
Overall, guys, out of all the things that I mentioned, I can guarantee you that if you're watching this video, whether you have no project management experience and you're trying to figure out this PMP thing for the first time, or if you have a ton of experience and you've been overthinking, you don't know if you're ready for the exam, you don't know how it's gonna be, you've been contemplating for 6 months, 8 months, I would say set a goal and keep it in your mind, sit for that exam, and I promise you will do just fine, okay? Hopefully this video was not too long-winded. Hope that you guys got some type of value from this video. I cannot wait. Like, y'all, the project management content is about to go crazy because I put it in my mind and I knew that I wanted to get PMP certified this year. All I can say is that there really is power in the tongue because I didn't know how I was gonna get certified. I just knew that I wanted my certification. And I started saying it out loud that I was gonna be PMP certified this year, and it happened for me. And my biggest goal was to do it before I had my baby. You know, we gotta give a shout out to the baby, okay? Because it's almost like he was my extra brain. Huge accomplishment. I am so proud of myself. It was not easy sitting for that exam. It was very exhausting. I do plan to do a video just about my experience with the exam and just kind of like how I was feeling on the day of and leading up to it, and just all the different things that were going on in my head. No question is a dumb question, guys. Comment down below, shoot me a DM on Instagram, let me know. I know a lot of you guys subscribe to me just from like my Scrum content, but because I don't actively practice as a Scrum Master, it's kind of hard to keep that content up. However, I am actively working as a program manager and I use project management every single day with my job. So I have a lot more experience to share with you guys as a project manager because I actually do that as my everyday work. If you have questions, anything about the exam that you want to know, please let me know because I really want to do a Q&A for you guys, answering like some of your most commonly asked questions. I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I did it 37 weeks pregnant. If you made it to this point, I just want to say I appreciate you so much. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, especially if you want more project management related content, because again, your girl is PMP certified. So I have a ton of information that I want to share with you guys. But that is going to be all for this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if this was helpful. I'll see y'all in my next upload. Bye, guys.